many times I got questions about what happened before the Big Bang. Was there anything before the Big Bang? Was there time before the Big Bang? Uh, Before I start answering these questions, I need to talk about my resources. My resources basically are the Quran. The Quran is not just an ordinary book. It actually includes of three parts: the Kitab, the Furqan, and the Quran. The three of them document the creation. The creations happened, and all the events happened through this the existence of this universe. It is a timeline of creation, documented everything step by step. And I have to refer to my, let's say, pioneer scientists who explained the details of what happened in that time. It was the first of the Muslim scholars existed at the time of Messenger Muhammad PBUH. He is Imam Ali, peace upon him. Imam Ali is the pioneer scientist that I base most of my research on his detailings to the creation timeline from the Quran. He explained all the ayat in concern from the first step of creation to the last step. So whatever I talk about is taken from the Quran from that pioneer scientist. He lived around 60, the moon year, the 60 of Hijri calendar. That makes around 600 something of the year now, the Christian year. Now, the timeline of the Quran say, yes, there was something before the Big Bang. Now that doesn't conflict with whatever the scientists say about the Big Bang. It is just the start of everything. It has the time started with it. Nothing was there before. This is the wrong point. But the time started with it, yes. And this universe existed because of the Big Bang. That's right. It's okay. But nothing happened before. That's need to be reconsidered and researched more. Well, the scientists today, they have the Planck era. The Planck era is just the prior era before the Big Bang starts. In it, they say there is the microphysics, there is the quantum mechanics, but just after that, the macrophysics started with the Big Bang. Wonderful. That's okay. Now let's go back to the timeline of the Quran. What says about what happened just in that time and what was before. It is 3 stages. The first one is the creation of the primary things that made this universe. They were plenty. They were categorized into regions, and they were not active, motionless, and they were waved to the time that they should become alive in. They have the ghosts, these ghosts attached to them, and when they were created, these ghosts were turned off. But when the time came in to turn on or to come in this universe bubble, it turned on and they became alive and had their properties and had their weights. So the first stage was the creation and giving everything its primary properties and waving them to the time when they will be entered to this universe. The second stage is the crack of the skies and the earth. The crack of the skies and the earth is just like a cloud, dark cloud, cannot spill any drop of water from it. So that's kind of stuff before the Big Bang was very dense and couldn't let any of the primary things spill out of it to this bubble of the universe. Until the time came in, they started to come inside that bubble, and they gained, the ghost turned on, and they gained their properties and their weights, and started to spread inside that bubble as, or according to the properties they had. The heaviest will go deepest, the lightest will go the highest. So the super forces were in the center of this bubble. There was a wind surrounding the super forces, and there was the primordial water on top of that wind. Well, this stage didn't witness any existence of space-time curvature or any atom or any whatever, or galaxies, objects, nothing existed, no atoms at all. So they were just primary things. This stage of the primary things is the second stage before the Big Bang, when at its end there existed the primary starting atoms. Let's say it's not atoms, primary things with them that the universe started. Because when they came in to the time of the Big Bang, they had many changes happen to them. At the end of these changes, they became ready to start the Big Bang. There's no time existed at this stage. The time will start with the Big Bang. So the first stage was creating them. The second stage was giving them their properties and ways and guide them in this bubble and manage, like each one, how to behave with others. They are so many primary things. They are different in properties, different in everything. So when they became active, some of them had conflict with others. Some of them like were in resonance with others. So to make them survive this stage, to start the universe that was in this stage and was arranged to be perfectly enough to start the universe. They are like this stage, like what the scientists are telling about. They are primary things, so many different in shapes, in kinds. Each of them has its own destiny and its own property that which it goes along, which with it doesn't go along, conflict with what. Every one of them, they have their own direction. So those that are from the same kind, they come along with each other, and those don't, they just go annihilate each other or just go repel each other. It is the time of creating the WZ, the quarks, the muons, everything the scientists are discovering now, according to the Imam Ali explanations and the Quran. The ayat of the Quran are telling that it is the stage of creating the primary things that with them the atom existed. Without them, there will be no atoms. So now the Quran meets with the discoveries of the findings of the scientists about this stage, which is the Planck era. They are all together, and how they were created, same description. Like they have different colors, they have different movements, they have different bends. So each of them has its own property. Those they are equal in everything, they will have resonance between them, like their movements, if it is equal to the others, equal to some other one, so they go along with each other, have resonance. Others, they don't have the resonance. Some others, they repel each other and annihilate. So now at this stage, it ends with having the subparticles or the primary things that have resonance between each other and they come together. Those, they repel each other, just exist without any connection between them. And there are the opposite ones, which they annihilate each other. And the three of them are known to scientists today. Now, what made this primary stage of the universe turn from just no space-time, just no atoms, no everything there, they just primary things in a bubble, empty of any sky exist, like the space-time curvature. What happened? What made them move from this stage to the stage of the Big Bang? I think this is what the scientists are looking for, and Professor Hawkins tried to create a mathematical equation that combines between the micro and macro physics. This is what we are talking about, the micro, and the Big Bang is the macro. What connected between them? Whatever he tried, he failed. And most of the sciences today, they have no idea, because there is one thing they missed. Now, those subparticles or those primary things that had resonance between each other, they became later the atoms of this universe. Those that annihilated each other, they started a spark, and when the spark ended, just a poof and gone, nothing there. That's what the scientists say. In fact, it is not like that. The annihilation happened between those subparticles against each other, but they left a trace after them. They left a spark, a cumulative spark wind blows, and they left just a remainder of the subparticle annihilated, like a foam. That foam later became the smoke. Now, these two things, they are responsible, or they were responsible for moving the universe from the micro to the macro physics. How and why? This accumulative sparks, sterilized, wind blows, it is sterilized because the sources they came from are gone. They annihilated, leaving just the foam. So they were sterilized wind blows. These wind blows, they are responsible for doing everything. They started the creation of the space-time curvature. Like every puff happen, or every annihilation that produces a puff, produces one blow of this wind. With every one, there is a subparticle of which the scientists know it as the gravity. That particle combines with the time subparticle, forming the space-time curvature. One by one, every one annihilate, and a blow exists. Just the first node of that space-time curvature exists. One after one, until the space-time curvature existed, but condensed, thick and condensed, and could be spread. So the power of these winds, wind blows, started the creation of the space-time curvature. And at its end, they became stormy and very strong, and started to raid over the space, over the superforce. When they raided over the superforce, they started to split them one by one. Split the first one, which is the gravity, just to expand the space-time curvature and create the inflation. The second raid, like, it started to split the nuclear force. The nuclear force had inside it many kinds of these subparticles, like something sticky, so many subparticles stick in it, of different kinds, surrounded by the electromagnetic and the weak nuclear force. So each one had sticked inside it different kinds of subparticles, surrounded by the combined electromagnetic and weak force. This is how the Big Bang started. It is started by this accumulative spark sterilized wind blows, creating the space-time curvature. Then by splitting the first one of the super force, the gravity, it expanded by the inflation. Then the other force, which is the strong nuclear force, became like something attracts the subparticles and stick them inside it. That what started how started the Big Bang. Many things, everything was created before the Big Bang. There was a creation stage, there was the cracking stage, and there was the giving these created subparticles, giving them their properties and weights, and managing them how to behave in this bubble before creating the space-time and the Big Bang. Now we come to time. The time is included within the space-time curvature when it first created. It was very thick and condensed, spreadable. So the time was all of it inside this starting point of the space-time curvature. When it expanded, the time started with the Big Bang. It expanded when the Big Bang started. So the time began with that point. Everything before that, the time was not responsible of anything, and they existed of, let's say, of no time until the Big Bang started. Hopefully, like my explanation from my pioneer scientist, Imam Ali, is clear to you. So I'm proud of what I have, and like you scientists of today, you speak of Copernicus and different scientists, pioneer scientists, and you say they are the ones who, why we are here. So I am telling you, yes, Imam Ali and his followers from the scientists, they are why I am here, and the people who understand my research in this creation timeline, they are proud of Imam Ali as their pioneer scientist. Thank you for your listening. Thank you very much.